Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Vrajachanaranjana Yasodanandana Vrajachanaranjana Yamuna Tiravana Chari Yamuna Tiravana Chari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Jai Sri Prabhupada ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. So there's two verses today. The first one doesn't have a purport, so I'll just read through that. Mridanga Shankha Bhairascha Veena Panava Gomukaha Dundur Yanaka Gantadya Nedur Dundu Bhayastata. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. While the Lord was departing from the palace of Hastinapur, different types of drums, like the mridanga, dole, nagara, dunduri, and dundubi, and flutes of different types, the veena, gomukha, and bheri, all sounded together to show him honor. And text 16, we can chat this one. Prāsāda-śikharārūḍhāḥ kuru-nāryo didṛkṣayā vavṛṣuḥ kusumaiḥ kṛṣṇaṁ prema-vrīḍā-smitekṣaṇāḥ prāsāda-śikharārūḍhāḥ kuru-nāryo didṛkṣayā vavṛṣuḥ kusumaiḥ kṛṣṇaṁ prema-vrīḍā-smitekṣaṇāḥ prāsāda-śikharārūḍhāḥ kuru-nāryo prāsāda-śikharārūḍhāḥ thanks Richard. Kuru-nāryo didṛkṣayā vavṛṣuḥ kusumaiḥ kṛṣṇaṁ prema-vrīḍā-smitekṣaṇāḥ prāsāda-śikharārūḍhāḥ kuru-nāryo didṛkṣayā vavṛṣuḥ kusumaiḥ kṛṣṇaṁ prema-vrīḍā-smitekṣaṇāḥ prāsāda-śikharārūḍhāḥ kuru-nāryo didṛkṣayā vavṛṣuḥ kusumaiḥ kṛṣṇaṁ prema-vrīḍā-smitekṣaṇāḥ. Hare Krishna. Prāsāda-śikharārūḍhāḥ kuru-nāryo didṛkṣayā vavṛṣuḥ kusumaiḥ kṛṣṇaṁ prema-vrīḍā-smitekṣaṇāḥ prāsāda-śikharārūḍhāḥ kuru-nāryo didṛkṣayā vavṛṣuḥ kusumaiḥ kṛṣṇaṁ prema-vrīḍā-smitekṣaṇāḥ prāsāda-śikharārūḍhāḥ kuru-nāryo didṛkṣayā vavṛṣuḥ kṛṣṇaṁ prema-vrīḍā-smitekṣaṇāḥ. Hare Krishna. Okay. Prāsāda-śikharārūḍhāḥ kusumaiḥ kṛṣṇaṁ prema-vrīḍā-smitekṣaṇāḥ prema-vrīḍā-smitekṣaṇāḥ. Hare Krishna. Okay. Prāsāda, palace. Shikhara, the roof. Ārūḍhāḥ, ascending. Kuru-nāryo, the ladies of the Kuru royalty. Didṛkṣayā, seen. Vavṛṣuḥ, showered. Kusumaiḥ, by flowers. kṛṣṇaṁ, upon Lord Kṛṣṇa. Prema, out of affection and love. Vrīḍā-smitekṣaṇāḥ, glancing with shy smiles. Out of a loving desire to see the Lord, the royal ladies of the Kurus got up on top of the palace, and, smiling with affection and shyness, they showered flowers upon the Lord. Out of a loving desire to see the Lord, the royal ladies of the Kurus got up on top of the palace, and, smiling with affection and shyness, they showered flowers upon the Lord. Out of a loving desire to see the Lord, the royal ladies of the Kurus got up on top of the palace, and, smiling with affection and shyness, they showered flowers upon the Lord. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Okay. Shyness is a particular extra-natural beauty for the fair sex, and it commands respect from the opposite sex. This custom was observed even during the days of the Mahābhārata, i.e., more than 5,000 years ago. It is only the less intelligent persons, not well versed in the history of the world, who say that observance of separation of male from female is an introduction of the Mohammedan period in India. This incident from the Mahābhārata period proves definitely that the ladies of the palace observed strict pardā, restricted association with men. And instead of coming down in the open air, where Lord Kṛṣṇa and others were assembled, the ladies of the palace went up on top of the palace, and from there paid their respects to Lord Kṛṣṇa by showers of flowers. It is definitely stated here that the ladies were smiling there on top of the palace, checked by shyness. This shyness is a gift of nature to the fair sex, and it enhances their beauty and prestige, even if they are of a less important family, or even if they are less attractive. We have practical experience of this fact. A sweeper woman commanded the respect of many respectable gentlemen simply by manifesting a lady's shyness. Half-naked ladies in the street do not command any respect, but a shy sweeper's wife commands respect from all. Human civilization, as conceived of by the sages of India, is to help one free himself from the clutches of illusion. The material beauty of a woman is an illusion because actually the body is made of earth, water, fire, air, etc. But because there is association of the living spark with matter, it appears to be beautiful. No one is attracted to an earthen doll, even if it is the most perfectly prepared, with an earthen doll, even if it is most perfectly prepared to attract the attention of others. The dead body has no beauty because no one will accept the dead body of a so-called beautiful woman. Therefore, the conclusion is that the spirit spark is beautiful, and because of the soul's beauty, one is attracted by the beauty of the outward body. The Vedic wisdom, therefore, forbids us to be attracted by false beauty. But because we are now in the darkness of ignorance, the Vedic civilization allows very restricted mixing of woman and man. They say that the woman is considered to be the fire, and the man is considered to be the butter. The butter must melt in association with fire, and therefore they may be brought together only when it is necessary. And shyness is a check to the unrestricted mixing. It is nature's gift, and it must be utilized. Thus ends the purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam Daivim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet Sunvatam sakatha Krishna punyasravana kirtana Hrijantasto hyapadrani vidhunoti suhritsatam Nastra praesho badreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavatuttama sloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki Mukham karoti vachalam pangolam gayate girim Yat kripatamaham vande Sri Gurum dinatarinam Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurun militam yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha Patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Jayapataka Swami Niti Namane Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvasesha Sunyavadi Paschacha Deshatarine Hare Krishna. While the Lord was departing from the palace of Hastinapur, different types of drums, like the mridanga, dol, nagara, dunduri and dundubi, and flutes of different types, the veena, gomukha and bheri, all sounded together to show him honor. Out of a loving desire to see the Lord, the royal ladies of the Kurus got up on top of the palace, and smiling with affection and shyness, they showered flowers upon the Lord. So this is a very provocative verse, because it's dealing with a subject which is very much taboo in modern society, which is the subject of the difference between the sexes, men and women. And it's very controversial. And before we get on to that, I'm sure there's many people have got something to say about it. But before we get that, I got a phone call from Achinta Chaitanya before I was giving class. And he was saying, I'm giving Russian class today, but I was thinking I'd be giving this class. And then he sort of talked about it a little bit. And I told him I was having difficulty with one thing in the purport, and that was Srila Prabhupada in the purport says that the material beauty of a woman is an illusion, because actually the body is made of earth, water, fire, air, etc. But because there is the association of a living spark with matter, a woman's body appears to be very beautiful. No one is attracted to an earthen doll, even if it is most perfectly prepared to attract the attention of others. The dead body has no beauty because no one will accept the dead body of a so-called beautiful woman. Therefore, the conclusion is that the spirit spark is beautiful, and because of the soul's beauty, one is attracted to the beauty of the outward body. And my question to him was this: if the soul is beautiful and gives beauty to the beautiful woman, then how come some women are not so beautiful as others? Or some men are not so beautiful as others, if the soul is what gives the beauty? And we tried various answers, and just reading this purport, I could see that Prabhupada actually puts the answer in the purport, which is very interesting. And it also reveals the whole, the beauty of this whole nature of what the purport is about. And in the purport he says, "We have practical experience of this fact. A sweeper woman commanded the respect of many respectable gentlemen simply by manifesting a lady's shyness. Half-naked ladies in the street do not command any respect, but a shy sweeper's wife commands respect from all." And this is a hugely incredible statement, that it's all about this verse and shyness. And the whole move in Western society towards equality, it's all about respect. And what we expect, what we're expecting from respect. And when he talks about the sweeper's woman commanding the respect of many, he doesn't talk about her beauty. He talks about what gets respect. And when he talks about the naked lady in the street, he's not talking about how beautiful she is. He's saying that a naked lady in the street, she may be very beautiful, but she doesn't have the respect. She's not getting the respect. And it's about the personal quality of a person. So I would say that without the association of a living spark, it is the person within the body that makes the body attractive. And it's not quite the whole picture, I understand that, because a half-naked, very beautiful woman in the street does attract a lot of attention, whereas a half-naked, not so attractive person will not actually attract that attention. But definitely a dead, beautiful woman in a street will attract a bit of horror, not attention. And this verse is about respect. And the very nice thing about this verse is Prabhupada is talking about something which is shyness in the opposite sex, and he phrases it in very respectful language. He calls women, he doesn't say shyness is a particular important quality in women. He doesn't say that. Can anyone remember Prabhupada's words? Obviously no one can, because it's there. But let's bring attention to Prabhupada's use of language. I mean, you or I, or if we were saying, Shyness is absolutely important for women to have. If they don't have any shyness, they're not part of the Vedic society. You could say it like that. How does Prabhupada say it? And why? Prabhupada says shyness is a particular, extra-natural beauty of the fair sex. That's very different, isn't it? That's glorifying women. Prabhupada glorifies women. He never puts women down. Never ever denigrates women. Never makes women feel inferior. Never is harsh with women. Never puts them down. In fact, he never put anyone down. So these qualities of women are not inferior qualities. They're very valuable qualities, but our society does not value them. We value half-naked women walking down the street. That is what we value. But Srila Prabhupada phrases it beautifully. And he says, it is only less intelligent people, not well versed in the history of the world, who say that observance and separation from female and male is an introduction of the Mohammedan period. In other words, it's a repressive move towards subjugating women. So the incident from the Mahābhārata proves definitely that ladies of the palace observed strict pardā, and instead of coming in the open air where Lord Kṛṣṇa and others were assembled, they went to the top of the palace from where they paid their respects to Kṛṣṇa by showers of flowers. So it's very interesting that women and shyness are a very important quality. What about men and shyness? Are men supposed to be shy? Are they allowed to be shy? Anyone know? I was very shy coming here to speak in front of a crowd. Durgama Prabhu cannot give class if the camera's on, and he'll cover his... When did you last see Durgama Prabhu give a class? You know Durgama? Anybody know Durgama Prabhu? Yes. He's a Prabhupada disciple, walks around. He'll never give class. He's far too shy. Is he a devotee? Yes. So interesting about, let's see, men giving shyness, men and shyness. I got one here. There's one about men being shy. Okay. Maharaj Prithu, he was king of the world, I believe. He exhibited all good qualities, and in spiritual knowledge, he was like Brihaspati. Talk about a qualified leader. In self-control, he was like the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. As far as his devotional service was concerned, he was a great follower of devotees who were attached to cow protection and rendering of all service to the spiritual master and the brahmanas. He also, I believe, was a great, obviously, kshatriya and warrior. And then it says, he was perfect in his shyness and in his gentle behavior. When he engaged in some philanthropic activity, he worked as if he was working for his personal self. So he was perfect in his shyness. This was Maharaj Prithu. So shyness is a very good quality even in exalted leaders. They are shy. And there's a very interesting thing that in shyness, is there shyness in Krishna? Is Krishna ever shy? Who knows? Yes, I think he's shy. When would Krishna be shy? I can't hear you, but I think you say in front of his parents. Yeah? Okay, my hearing's very bad actually. There's a hand up at the back which you have to shout. With his parents? Yeah. I got a quote here about Krishna. I won't go through his, it says, he's talking about his mothers and the, okay, big voice, all right.
Rupa Goswami mentions Krishna's shyness in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. He was observing the beauty of Radharani and his hand shook. While he was holding up Govardhan Hill, his hand shook, and the inhabitants of Vrindavan became alarmed. And Lord Balaram was thinking, and so he was smirking, he was thinking, oh, they're afraid, but Lord Kṛṣṇa, he can hold up the entire universe. But Kṛṣṇa thought that Balaram observed him looking at the beauty of Radharani, and he felt very shy.
Yeah.
So that's one example.
That's nice, yeah. And of course, there cannot be shyness in anyone if it doesn't already exist in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So shyness is a very important quality of Lord Kṛṣṇa. And it says that his mildness, his sweet words, and these are words you expect from, these are actually, if we're thinking about feminine qualities, these are actually what we think of as being more feminine qualities. He says his mildness, his sweet words, his simplicity, his shyness, his humility, his constant readiness to offer respect to elderly, and his charity. All these qualities are considered ecstatic provocations for parental love. So whenever you see Kṛṣṇa as a child, shyness is one of his the qualities with which he manages to get the love of all the elderly people in Vrindavan. And Srila Prabhupada says a wife conquers her husband by these sort of mild characteristics. So these are qualities that exist. Shyness is a quality that exists in Kṛṣṇa. It's a quality of all great souls. And whenever, it doesn't matter who they are, when Duryodhana, let's talk about Duryodhana, Prabhu. When Duryodhana was going to see his mother for a benediction, she told him, I've been blind all my life. I'm not blind, your father is blind. I've been wearing this blindfold. So, you're my son, I want you to win the battle of Kurukshetra. I want you to be undefeatable. Because of my austerity of wearing a blindfold since marriage, because my husband was blind, when I take off my blindfold, so much power will be there that I will bless you to become invulnerable. And you're the king of the world. I want you to come to me, to my room, naked, and I will make you invulnerable. So Duryodhana, immediately hearing this, took off all his clothes, and as one does, walked over to his mother's house. And on the way to his mother's house, as sometimes happens, he bumped into Lord Kṛṣṇa, who happened to be walking on the other way. Lord Kṛṣṇa, seen Duryodhana without any clothes walking through the streets, asked him, "Oh Duryodhana, where are you going with no clothes on?" And Duryodhana replied, "I'm on my way to see mother. She asked me to come and see her." And Kṛṣṇa said, "Oh, but don't you think you should wear some clothes?" And Duryodhana thought for a minute and said, "Yes, I think that's a good idea." So he put on a kopin. When he went to see his mother, not feeling shy anymore, because you don't go to see your mother when you're a grown man with no clothes on, Gandhari took off her blindfold. And when she saw him, she said, "Okay, this is my blessing." And he became invulnerable throughout his whole body, except for where he was wearing clothes. And she said, "I told you not to come with clothes on." And Duryodhana, because he got a little bit shy and wore a kopin, then even Duryodhana is sometimes shy. So it's a very good quality in men, especially in front of your elders, to actually be shy. And this is a quality of everyone. And Maharaj Prithu had it. Lord Kṛṣṇa has shyness. And here, these qualities, some are more appropriate for men, some are appropriate for women. A very good example of women is these ladies on the female relatives. Their eyes were flooded with tears out of anxiety for Krishna, and they came out of the palace. And we got, and they're called Kuru. These ladies were the descendants of the Kurus. Yes, they call kuru-nāryo. They were the royal ladies of the Kurus. And it's mentioned that there were many, many women in the palace. So these women will have seen Krishna lead an army and were against all their husbands and sons, and they were all killed. And yet, their eyes were choking with tears, and they were showering flowers on Lord Kṛṣṇa as he left. And that's another quality of these wonderful ladies, that they were Kshatriya ladies. They understood. There's wars, some people win and lose, but they understood these principles. But there are some qualities which are more suitable for women than for men in general. And we can see that Krishna himself had one of his wives who would go into battle with him. And it wasn't his number one wife, it wasn't Rukmini. It was, there was another wife went into battle with Krishna. What was her name? Which one? Satyabhama. Satyabhama was a great warrior queen. And she would go and fight by his side. He wouldn't have a problem. That was her nature. So these rules are general rules for people. And there's always exceptions. I mean, Samba was Krishna's son. And he was considered to be a mummy's boy. And it says so in the Krishna book. And everyone has different qualities. Everyone has got their own sort of individuality. But in general, and these things are talked about in general, shyness is a particular extra-natural beauty of the fair sex, and it commands respect from the opposite sex. And we shouldn't think that because men are respected for a certain activity, that a woman will get respected by doing the same thing. They're different. Bhishmadev also, on his dying stage, he also advised about woman's shyness. He says, a woman's shyness, that is the control, okay, Prabhupada's purport. No, this is a lecture. Prabhupada gave a lecture on, it was on Bhishmadev, it must have been on Srimad Bhagavatam 5.6.4, where he says a bit more enlightenment about women and shyness, which is nice. Does anybody mind? You're okay? Everybody's okay? Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada speaking women and shyness. And please remember, Prabhupada was never harsh, he never put anyone down. But this verse is about shyness, and shyness brings people up. Shyness brings people up. Even men as well. It's appropriate for men. So these things are there, said Srila Prabhupada. The purpose is that our mind is like that. Pumskali. Our mind is like an unchaste wife. And he's not talking about women here. He's talking about men and women. The mind is like Pumskali, an unchaste wife. Not that everyone is unchaste. We have got many examples. The character of women, it is not that. It is not a generalization, but there is a chance. And can you see here again how Srila Prabhupada is making sure that no one is putting women down. You talk about unchaste wife, and then it says, well, women are unchaste. No, he immediately goes over again and again, please. It's not that everyone is unchaste. We have got many examples. The character of women, it's not that. It's not a generalization, but there is chance. Just like if he was talking about men, there's a chance that men are also bad. But this is here. If they are not controlled or proper educated, there is a chance of becoming pumskali. And there have been many instances that women, for being attracted by the paramour, have killed even their own son. There are cases. How many people know a case of a woman in their own, because they fall in love with someone else, they kill their own son. Nobody has a case like that. It's very rare. So again, Prabhupada is making sure nobody misunderstands that this is not putting women down. He now has said, just in case anyone has made a mistake, that unchaste wife is a common thing, he then says, there are cases where a woman has even killed her own son. None of us here have ever come across that. So please try to understand how amazing Srila Prabhupada is. That he is saying something and he's making sure that no one takes it in the wrong way. There are cases. So Bhishmadev has advised that the shyness of woman, lajja, is the control. If you break that shy, what is given? And he talks before about natural shyness. It comes from birth. It's there in the little girl. It's there in the child. It's there with the girl. He says it's natural. Here, he says it's what is given. It's natural. In this purport, he's just repeating it. It's given. Just like men of a competitive nature. By birth, it's there. And it's given. He says, if you break that shyness, there will be disaster. That is the control valve naturally given. And a woman's shyness is one's beauty. Beauty, and here we have it. Remember we are saying the living entity, a nice body, is beautiful? And where does the beauty come from? Actually, Srila Prabhupada in this purport equates shyness to beauty. And in this verse he is saying, because there is the association of a living spark, matter, it appears to be beautiful. So we have the answer where the beauty comes from. It is shyness. A woman's shyness is one's beauty. It's beauty. We have practical example and command also. We have practical experience in our life. So he gives the same story about the sweeper in this purport, but he gives the name of his friend who he was with. You've seen my friend came, Dinanath Mishra. They were our neighbor. One day we were sitting in the corridor of the house. A sweeper woman, she wanted to come within, but was very shyful, and with the covering on her head, although with broomstick and bucket, she was waiting because we were sitting inside both. So she was feeling a little shy not to enter the house. So we decided to move so she may come. This example is given. She is a sweeper, not very respectable, maidservant or sweeper, but on account of her shyness, we had to welcome. Yes, we are moving, you come in. Just see, this is psychology. Therefore, Bhishmadev at his dying stage, he advises that women's shyness is the valve to control. If this shyness is broken, it'll create disaster, pumskali. This is a psychology. So things are changing nowadays everywhere, not only in India, in other countries also, but this is a psychology. When Srila Prabhupada psychology, what does it mean? It means that by even a not very important woman's shyness, she was controlling Srila Prabhupada, who became the world acharya. He had to get up and move and let her into the room and invite her in like a guest, very politely. That's a big deal. Srila Prabhupada, whose Bhagavatam has been read in temples all over the world at 8 o'clock every day. Srila Prabhupada, who single-handedly spread Krishna consciousness and saved the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition in the most amazing way possible. And because of her shyness, a cleaning woman had him invite her into the room very happily, give her full respect, and get up and invite her, and give her full respect. And she commanded Srila Prabhupada's respect. Why? She wasn't important. Because she had a quality of shyness. That's power. What if she tried to learn the Bhagavatam and instead traveled to the West and spread Krishna consciousness? Would she have got Prabhupada's? Would she have been equal to Prabhupada then? No. But because she had some shyness, she was able to get Srila Prabhupada to up and move and welcome her into the room. This is power. And Krishna gives everyone power. But we have to know what it is. And the natural power given to a woman is shyness. We can see how What was the name of the lady that made, what is the name of it? Lord Ramachandra's father was called Lord Ramachandra. Lord Ramachandra's father's name was, loudly? Dasarath. And Dasarath, his wife, one of his wives, was able to make him, because of her service to him, she got 3 benedictions. And she was so powerful because she pleased him so much. She was able to send Lord Ram into the forest for 14 years. So a woman can be very, very powerful. So this is psychology. So things are changing everywhere, not in India, in other countries also. So these examples are given. Why? Just to control the mind. In Hindi, there's a proverb that women and wife you should always keep in control. There are many examples. Why keeping a wife in control? What does that mean? It means that you should never, a woman's shyness must always be kept. It's the way that a woman controls her mind. Shyness is a way that woman controls her mind. And that is where are we now on the clock? Okay. So I made a few mistakes there, but I think the out of this wonderful purport, I just go, shyness is a particular extranatural beauty of the fair sex, and it commands respect from the opposite sex. Prabhupada says it. When I talk about it, because I am a conditioned living entity, some of my envy towards others will come across. If you want to understand what shyness is, if you read it from Srila Prabhupada, because he had no envy. And when he expresses things, you can see how very careful he was not to disrespect women at all. And the respect he had for women and his lady disciples was total. And he didn't love his men disciples any more or any less, but he loved them differently. And there's some nice quotes of Prabhupada talking to women. Not that this is about women. My dear Ramadira, yes, I have blessings on the happy marriage of Haladar Prabhu and Joan Prabhu, so you can immediately do the needful in this regards. Prabhu, both Prabhus. Joan wasn't even initiated. It's respect. Please accept my blessing, dear Rishabdev. As long as there is Guru Garanga worship, Yamuna Prabhu may act as pujari. These are letters 71. My dear Gangamai, please accept my blessings. I'm glad to hear that you are determined to stay and live in the temple now, and you are becoming very much attached to deity worship and very serious about serving the deity along with Melati Prabhu. Srila Prabhupada's calling his lady disciples Prabhu. Some of Prabhupada's lady disciples were unmatched in their service. One time he said to Melati, she was serving prasad with one of his godbrothers, and she was just coming in and out giving stuff. And he said, well, you know, the prasadam isn't really of the right quality, but I would cut my throat for her, and she would cut her throat for me. Did Srila Prabhupada value his lady disciples? Totally? Wholeheartedly? Yes, he did. So when Srila Prabhupada talks about shyness and women's qualities, we have to understand it's coming from somebody who had not a shade of disrespect towards women compared with men, and it was done for everybody's welfare and the welfare of human society as well. So these guidelines given by Srila Prabhupada, everyone should accept them, and accept them in the light of Srila Prabhupada's explanations, because when we're young and inexperienced, they might be done with a sense of harshness, a sense of superiority, a sense of natural envy, but we should take them as being true because Prabhupada said them, and try and understand them in the way Srila Prabhupada expressed them as well. Because if you try to give someone an instruction and in your heart there is some envy, if you try to give someone an instruction to behave in a particular way, and you don't do it with love and affection, it's not going to work. So in this sense, it really is up to the Matajis to read Srila Prabhupada's books and take his instructions on themselves, because it's very difficult to find someone who doesn't have any envy to say them the way Srila Prabhupada said them, and take them the way Srila Prabhupada said them to heart. And it's very important for the men here to understand how beautifully and unenviously Prabhupada was giving instruction as a man to a woman in such a way that is not coming from someone who felt themselves to be superior, someone who felt themselves to be better, or someone who harbored any envy towards them. And then when we talk to ladies, we should in our hearts have the same respect for the women folk that he had for them. And when we're there, then we can possibly hope to be able to give some helpful advice that is much needed. Because as men, we're supposed to have more intelligence. And if we don't act in a more intelligent way and be able to express things in a proper way, then we are also not men, not proper men. And we need to have cultivated men and cultivated women in the society. So that is the wonderful thing about the purport, not just what Srila Prabhupada said, but how he actually said it. So my hearing is really very, very poor, so I don't know if I'll be able to take any questions. But thank you very much for being attentive. I'll try and take a question if there are any. But here